should be like you, Mel.
Ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Cherries fans around the world. Welcome to another edition of Cherry AM on this fantastic Tuesday morning. And what a pleasure. I am joined by the one and only, the Cherry from Down Under, Darren. Welcome this morning. How you doing?
Hi, Ollie. Yeah, doing great. It's 3 p.m. here in Perth. Blue skies at 18 degrees. So, yeah, not a bad day.
Fantastic.
Hello, everyone in the chat.
Excellent. Yeah, really pleasure for you. Really glad for you to be here. It's our first Cherry AM together, I believe.
Yeah, it is. I've been looking forward to it. It's obviously difficult being in Australia, being them 7 hours in front. And as you all know, I go on my daily disappear out of the office and do my site walk for the 40 minutes and join in with the chat and the group. But yeah, absolutely fantastic to have yesterday off and did the show with Malcolm. Joined yourself on Cherry Slaps last night, which was amazing. And to be here today. So yeah, I'll make the most of it. Maybe see me again for a few weeks.
You've had quite the roll of shows in the last 24 hours, haven't you? Love it. I think that's amazing. Welcome. Really glad to have you here, Daz. I'll run through the chat, and then we've got a super interesting discussion this morning. So we'll break into that for everyone in just a moment. Morning, Malcolm. Good morning, Ollie, Daz, and everyone in the chat. Paul Sands. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Paul.
Morning, Paul. Cherries for breakfast again. Absolutely. Every morning, Malcolm. Every morning. Good morning, Mal. Need my fix of cherries. Yeah. Malcolm Chiverton, me too. Chris Hubble says, morning, Mal. And Malcolm, morning, Chris. How are you, Mal? Nice chat between them this morning. David DaCosta, good morning, Ollie and Darren, everyone in the chat. 19 degrees and rain up the Cherries.
Hi, Dave.
How far away is David from you, Daz?
He's on the other side. So, Dave, I think, is on the East Coast, which, if you can picture it, it's a 5-hour flight.
Right. Okay. Blimey, that's still quite a distance, isn't it?
Yeah. You can basically fit the UK in Australia 31 times.
Blimey, 31 times.
Yeah.
Crikey. I had no idea. That's enormous. Chris Hubble, I'm good, thank you, Mal. Malcolm Chiverton, morning, David. 5 degrees here with sunshine in Berlin. Nice and frosty. Morning, Dazza, and morning, Ollie from Matt Harrison. Morning, Matt. Malcolm Chiverton, coffee, biscuits, and cherry AM. That sounds like a perfect morning. Morning, Daz. Morning, Ollie. Morning, Matt. Morning, all in the chat. Chris Hubble saying good morning to everyone. Malcolm Chiverton, Matthew Harrison, and Matt saying Daz been on here more in the last 24 hours than any of the rest of us. Is he after my job? Only you can answer that, sir.
Yes.
Liam Humby, good morning, everyone. Up the Cherries Northern Apartments. Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, Daz, he's brought to my attention this morning a conversation which we haven't done. Well, I haven't done personally on a Cherry AM. So it's going to be awesome to get into it, and that is essentially about referees and maybe the lack of support they get, the controversy that they get on top of the lack of support. It seems like a bit of an unfair world for them at the moment, and it's ever changing. Right, these footballers get to kind of write the rules and predict the futures themselves, and the referees kind of have to fall in line, and then get controversy from VAR, and then controversy for it just seems to be piling on from everywhere, right, Daz?
Yeah, no, agreed. I think at the end of the day, they're the one guy in the middle of the pitch with the whistle who have to officiate, and they've got 22. Let's face it, overpaid prima donnas. A lot of them are very good actors, let's say, and they're watched by millions of fans all over the world. Yeah. You know, not only the stadium with the pressure of the jeering crowd and everything else, 80, 90,000 crowds. And yeah, that split moment in time, under their professional experience, they have to make the call. And sometimes they don't get it right. We're human beings. We all make mistakes. Some of them are more costly than others. But I think in this day and age, we need to support the referees a lot more. They're under a lot of pressure. You know, I personally wouldn't want to be the guy, and that's why I wear the black top today. I wouldn't want to be the guy in the black top in the middle of any game with all these players are all running up to you and in your face, and then you make your decision, and then you're called to the sidelines to watch the TV.
Yeah,
and they slow down and they show it in freeze frame rather than real life speed. And the poor referees, I feel, have to make the decision. Did I make the right decision, and am I going to change it? So I think that's a good topic. I welcome everyone in the group. You know, put your comments in, put your feelings in. Give us some robust discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to give a breakdown just initially on refs themselves, just so everyone knows exactly kind of what realm we're talking about, right? So obviously these guys are Premier League officials. We're not talking any other realm of football. They are full-time professionals employed by the PGMOL. They're not part-timers, right? Their base salaries are still a fair amount. You know, it varies a lot on experience, but anywhere between 72 and 148 grand a year. And I think, as you mentioned, and you were spot on, anywhere between £1,100 and £1,500 per game. That's a pretty good wage. However, compare that now, obviously, to the rates that other people on that pitch are getting at the same time. You can understand why there might be a bit of discomfort there in the difference, right? On top of the base salary, they do get obviously a few extras. Assistants and VAR refs officials also get paid. Of lower less than the centre referees, and bonuses and performance-based rewards, obviously, as the season goes on. Now, the biggest thing for us here, we've brought up a couple of different examples as the time has gone on, right? And I know that one of the biggest ones that you mentioned and that I mentioned, and I was actually at the game, was at the start of the season last season against Newcastle.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we can get so as the hardest football league in the world, as the most scrutinised, the most watched, the most monetised, everything about the Premier League, right? And we introduced a VAR, which I understand the premise of it. I understand that there's extra heads and extra eyes making decisions, but we discussed this before the show, right? Doesn't seem to be a set criteria, which means that a referee can make a decision, and that decision can be overturned by people watching the camera, and that decision to be overturned can take 30 seconds, or in one of the other instances, 7, 6, 8 minutes. How on earth are we to expect the referee to be making decisions properly when they're getting scrutinised from 50,000 people in the stands, 4 higher-ups, 3 belows? What kind of world are they living in at the moment, Daz? That can't be the nicest place, really, can it?
No. Like I say, they're under a lot of pressure. They're scrutinised. And it must undermine them and make them question their ability to make that decision when they know that possibly someone's going to come in and overrule them. In regards to VAR, I understand, I haven't looked too much into it, but I understand that officiates who sit in the box. Am I correct in saying that? And why not introduce people who have been in that situation, ex-professional players? I mean, I know, like him or love him, Alan Shearer. Let's use him as an example. Yeah, he's got his match of the day, versions of events. But I use somebody like an Alan Shearer or the ex-Arsenal striker, Righty. Right. You know, somebody of that nature. They've been in the game long enough and played it firsthand, and they've been watching under a professional nature. Football's their job, their passion, commentary. Let's start thinking about, can we use them people with them experience who can real life, I remember when this happened to me and it wasn't as malicious as it is. And I use the example of Evan Nilsson. When he played last season against Man United, he went over to the sideline. He's on the halfway line. We're not looking at like we're going to lose a goal. It's not like on the 18-yard box. And he went over on what I was considering an overwatered pitch at the time. And his standing left foot slid. And his right foot went over the ball and he caught the player. Nothing malicious. The referee, I believe, gave a yellow card, which I thought was a fair and right decision. And then VAR jumped in. They called him over to the sideline. They slowed it down on the camera from different angles. And when you freeze frame, the player's boot over the ball hitting the shin of an opposing player, yes, it looks dangerous. It looks with malicious intent. But when you looked at it in real speed, you could clearly see, and they totally ignored the fact, oh, hold on a minute, his left foot slipped, which caused that to happen. They just looked at the focus on the tackle, the ball, the player's boot. So I don't know how we make it better. I just think that we need to give the referees more support.
100% agreed. And I'm going to ask you a question and then come into the chat. Do we think that a route to make it better would be to make... I know that referees have forever had full accountability, right? But since there's been more officials and VAR involved, the accountability of the ref has kind of been taken off of their shoulders a little bit. Because most of the time, if a decision gets made over their heads, it's not on them. So maybe we have to give a bit more accountability back to the ref, and the ref says, look, in actual fact, VAR, I've made this decision. I understand you're disagreeing with it, but I'm going to take the flak here. I think I know what I saw. This is how it's going to go. Yeah. Do we think that's a better route forward?
100%. I think the referees, like you say, need to trust in their decision making. Yeah, and sometimes I think it only is going to take one referee to stand up the VAR and go, no, I stand by my original decision. I'm sorry, I disagree with your version, your opinion. Yeah. We're all like arseholes. We all got an opinion. Some right, some wrong. You know, some of our beliefs are stronger than others. Some are, but I really do think that the referee at some point has to say, I'm sorry, I stand by my decision. That wasn't a red. It was accidental, for example. And I think until they stand up to VAR and say no, VAR are always going to be able to overrule them and they're back down.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a comment somewhere that says something, but just to follow on from that, would you say that in actual fact then, people who are sat in the VAR box shouldn't necessarily be fourth officials? Should they be, almost completely neutral people that see the game from a different point of view? I know that referees like, I know we're going to come to Michael Oliver in a minute, a top tier referee. I know he gets paid more than a number of the other referees because of his exposure and experience within the Premier League. Should we be classifying it on the fact that, he's had this much experience here? In actual fact, he gets to make a bigger decision than the VAR today, or does that go against the competition and the type of games that we get? Are there going to be clubs that go, in actual fact, Arsenal don't like Michael Oliver because of previous results? And then we start getting into the nitty gritty of battling over refs and who should be on the game. It starts to get a bit crap. It starts to get a bit into the realms of nonsense, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't understand how we're going to get out of it.
I mean, I looked up briefly before we came on air the stats for top 25. And I don't like looking at stats. I like looking at real time from your own opinion. Different people's subjective opinions are different, and stats don't always tell the true event. You can have a player who made 100% pass rate, but he passed it back.
Yeah.
Now I'd sooner have a player who's got 75% successful pass rate, but he was attacking passing. So I don't believe stats. I don't believe all this. This player should be performing to this level, or he didn't score, or whatever. So the same with referees. Yeah, referees, when I looked at, were basically the top 25 referees who play in, week out in the Premiership level. They're professionals, all right? Like you say, we're not talking about the Sunday kickers down the pub or Divi 2 or Divi 3 or Championship. And surprising the statistics for the guys who, compared to games, KMIs and errors made, their percentages are really high. And I don't think people give referees credit enough for how much accuracy they have in their decision-making. There's too many, like everything, you'll remember one bad thing for every 10 good things.
Yeah.
And too many people focus on the negatives. Their glasses are always half empty. My glass is always half full, like yourself, Ollie. So I'm just going to bring a very quick example.
Sure.
With Leeds, we have Michael Oliver, last week. Now, last season, they haven't got the stats for this season, obviously, but last season he played 26 games. He reffed 26 games, and he made 3 errors.
Wow.
Now, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's a lot better than what I was expecting you to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. People seem to think that these referees, week in, week out, are making bad decisions, making errors. I mean, I don't know who proves what errors were right and wrong, but whether it's PGMOL or whatever, but he's got a 94.64% accuracy rate. And you know what? I think he reffed a bloody good game last week with Leeds. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, completely agree. And I think stats like that need to be shouted about more. I think that, even on build-ups to game, I think I'm going to run through the chat because someone said something about the refs that I want to come to. David DaCosta says that with all the cameras on them, they're scared to make a controversial decision. Absolutely. Yep. It's only been getting worse as well over the years. Malcolm says the refs got a raw deal. Yeah, absolutely. Let's be fair, refs have a tough job, but I feel if VAR was used correctly, then they would have had the right support, in my opinion. But VAR isn't used right. If anything, it overrules correct decisions. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to come to that shortly in regards to affecting momentum and outcomes and fourth officials and things. Liam Humby says, don't like VAR. Wish they would scrap it. Max says, if ref makes a plain mistake, then VAR should advise the ref. Otherwise, they should just monitor. Yeah, completely agree.
Yep.
The problem is every ref interrupts rules slightly differently. That's why VAR can be inconsistent. Yeah, it comes back to this. Me and Daz were saying this before the game, is that it seems like there's a malleable criteria depending on what ref or what VAR fourth officials you get. And there should always be, in my opinion, a set, solid criteria of what is a foul, of what is a handball, of what is allowed and what isn't allowed in a game of football. There shouldn't really be too much fluctuation around those rules. So I agree in regards to inconsistency. Paul Sands says refs must enjoy the stick and everything that goes with the modern game. Otherwise, they probably would find another profession. Yes and no. I guess you've got similar thoughts to me there, Daz. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's like any job. It's like any hobby. There's always going to be somebody who's going to disagree with you, whether or not you think, So I don't know whether they enjoy the stick. I think it just comes with the territory. You know, you're never going to please 90,000 fans home and away in a grandstand. You're never going to please 1 million viewers all around the world who are then going to, slate you on social media. So I stand by. I think they get a raw deal. I think we need to recognise more the good that they do rather than the one or two errors. I mean, unless you're in an absolute, World Cup final situation, and we've all been in the relegation and promotion situations, to put it into perspective. If there was a decision made then that literally catastrophically made that outcome negative to your detriment, then yes, that's the time when you could say, this bloke made the wrong decision. But I really do think we need to praise these guys a bit more and support them.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that and echo that entirely. I think the other thing to take into account is a lot of these refs have come from Sunday and Saturday league. Like, they are thick-skinned. They have been around probably 10 times worse than what they're going to get on a Premier League pitch regularly. In the pouring rain on a hill, somewhere on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. It's been a lot worse for these refs than it is on these Premier League pitches.
Yeah. I used to give refs plenty of stick back in the day.
I remember when I was playing Sunday League and I used to be terrible. So, I imagine that they've built themselves into this role for a reason. Malcolm says ex-professionals are co-commentators on TV and give a lot of good input. Would be good to have them included in VAR. I was going to say this earlier. However, the thing with ex-professionals and co-commentators is they're slightly biased in regards to emotion and reaction, which means they will have their team that they've followed for 50 years. They will have their opinions on certain players. So I think that it kind of misconstrues the lines a little bit. But interesting, Malcolm. Sean says, I have no problem with VAR as it's still opinion, so not everyone will ever agree, but it should be like rugby where you always hear the reason for the decision and the ref be mic'd up. Now, this is an interesting one. Yeah, I 100% agree that live reactions, live hearing from the ref in the VAR box should absolutely be in the games so that we can understand in live time why things are being decided.
And the difference with that, I believe, rugby, I love rugby myself. Rugby is a thugs game played by gentlemen. And you will not get 10 players run around the referee, start screaming and shouting and play acting. A referee controls that game.
Yeah.
If the referee says, shh, quiet, I'm talking, they shut up. And if they say, the reason for this is because of that, and you're in the sin bin, they walk off.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can instill that into the game of football, but that is the officiating that we almost need, somewhere in the middle of that, And, like I say, it's, as I say, a thugs game played by gentlemen, and football is a gentleman's game played by thugs.
It's annoying as well because every inch of me wants to disagree with it because I'm football through and through. I'm not the biggest fan of rugby, but it's spot on. It's absolutely spot on. You don't ever see rugby fans or rugby thugs fighting each other at stands and throwing cups. It's not a regular thing, is it? Especially not in the English rugby life. Not from what I know and see anyway. Not quite like football, crikey. Matt Harrison, refs should sometimes back themselves and not go with VAR. The on-field official have the power to overrule VAR. Which one did we bring up before the game? It was Evan Nilsson, wasn't it? I think you already discussed it on the right-hand side, where he's given a yellow card and then been pulled over to rethink it. Yeah. Dan Short says, sorry, go on.
If in that situation the ref would have said, no, sorry, I stand by my decision, it's a yellow card, Ever would have still been on the pitch, the right decision would have been made. But yeah, like people say, I think they're under so much pressure. They're scared to.
That was a 1-1 against United, if I remember rightly.
No, I think it was very late in the game. I think I can't remember the specific details. I've got a memory like a sieve, but I remember it's our lead striker. He got sent off for unintentional tackle on the halfway line. A yellow card was the right decision, and VAR forced the ref, in my opinion, to change it to a red.
And I believe we actually won the appeal after that game, didn't we?
That's right, yes, I do remember that.
Overturned. Yeah. I'm just reading up on it now. So, Bournemouth striker Evan Nilsson was sent off. This was versus Man United via VAR upgraded challenge, it's called. In a 1-1 draw with Man United, VAR claimed serious foul play, but after the appeal, the red card was overturned. Bournemouth suffered through the match badly once, down to 10 men, and manager Iraola was furious.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Dan Schultz says, morning, Ollie, and the other guy is Daz from Cherry Down Under. He's regularly on this show, Dan. You will know him if you comment. Don't like the VAR. That's why I go to non-league. They don't have it there. They have the sin bin instead. Yeah. I remember getting sin binned. Crikey, Dan. Sean said it's the waiting in the crowd, not knowing what's going on is what's mainly ruining it. But even when the decision is made, not knowing why. Yeah. So I think this comes down to, again, the lack of communication or transparency when a decision's being made, right? There are a number of things, in my opinion, that could not solve VAR, but make it more fluent, make it more transparent so that everyone's involved at the time, rather than having to go and watch the game back and see the incident for yourself. So there are ways around it, but this isn't ever developing world of football, right? So who knows what could happen? I think only this season they did re-look at the offside rule, didn't they? So they re-changed that from being different dimensions, different levels of offside, essentially. So look, things can change all the time. Paul says stats can be manipulated.
100%. Yeah.
Dan Short says, am I right thinking that Michael Oliver is a Tranmere fan? Possible. Sean, a foul for one person isn't a foul for another. That's just opinions. Yeah. We've already mentioned that there does absolutely need to be certain guidelines and criteria that can't be kind of moved away from. But again, who does that come down to decide? And then once in the game, we need to understand and have a much clearer confirmation on who's making those decisions. Can a ref overturn VAR entirely? Because it doesn't look like that way on the pitch. It looks like if VAR decides something, VAR decides something. And the referee falls in line. So Matt says, I think Mike Dean is the Tranmere fan. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. Says, fair point, Sean. That might be the one. That's correct, Ollie. It was against United at home, 1-1. Dan Schott says, every Monday I watch SSN. The ref watched the Dermot Gallagher. The ref was saying that the incident with Guy Keres and Pope was a penalty. Oh, that's from the Arsenal game, yeah. Matt says, we did, Ollie. That's right. Paul Sands says it was Zabs, I thought. And Matt says, Zabs was against Wolves, if memory serves me right. Yeah, that's right. It was... offside delay versus Wolves. Lasted 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that was the one that we were discussing just before we came on, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Which is nuts. That's a ridiculous amount of time to be checking something that's premeditated. We're not going into the game making rules up. So there is rules already decided for. It should not take 8 minutes to decide unless emotion and opinion comes into play.
Yeah.
Could you make any sense of that for me, Daz? Or are you as...
No, I can't. It does not take 8 minutes. And what it does, it kills the game.
Yeah.
As we know, Bournemouth, fast-paced pressure game. It gives the opportunity for the opposition to recompose, get a breath of fresh air. They're absolutely knackered, running around. They've got Bournemouth chasing their asses around all over the pitch. It gives them time to take a breath, recollect, and go again. It's not good in the game for a Bournemouth perspective. I think David there has made a good comment there about VAR pulls it back for possible previous fouls. And the point that me and Ollie were talking to about before the game is in regards to linesmen and the offsides. I think you agree. In the old days, if you were offside, the flag went up, stop play, free kick to the defending team, and away you went. And what me and Ollie were discussing earlier is now I feel there's a possibility when they're knowingly offside. They don't flag. They allow play to continue until it breaks down, and then they call it back. Now, my concerns are, let's say Senesi playing fantastic in a minute, yeah? There's an offside. Senesi goes over, takes a challenge, and gets injured. That could have been prevented if the flag would have gone up and play stopped at that point. My concerns are these players are putting themselves, the players are not putting themselves at injury. The officials, everyone, are putting the players at risk of injury for allowing play to knowingly go on for an obvious offside. Yeah. So again, that's another perspective. They've taken it away from the linesman to use their better judgment and go, yeah, he's offside, I'm flagging it. So again, just another bit of controversy, another opinion to consider.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to that conversation we were saying, right? Back in the day, you would the leniency on the game being allowed to play on a fourth official or a linesman putting their arm up straight away and stopping it there and then, it allows more stuff to come from the game. It allows more excitement. It allows more flair. And all we're doing is we're almost siloing it into small sections and small segments by going, no, stop that, bring it back, forget everything that's just happened. Let's almost, and while we're doing it live as well, it's a crazy thing to be doing. It's a crazy thing to be doing. Sean says the point is now the ref's decision is influenced by VAR as they know they have their backing if they're not sure, so could choose the easier option. Yeah, again, it's not exactly clear-cut criteria, is it, for the rules and regulations on the pitch? And it can change, which you can understand why there's going to be teams that feel like they've been unfared out of a game or out of a result. Matt says, we did Ollie comment is about ever red overturned. Yes, that was for the Man United game.
Yeah.
Sean says, unless it's crossing a line that's simple black and white, but fouls are going to be opinions, so can't make set rules. I disagree. I think there is absolutely a book of criteria and a book of rules that you should be able to set that say this is a foul and this isn't a foul. I don't think there's too many circumstances around tackling someone with a football that allows there to be too much discussion around whether that was an incorrect or not eligible tackle. There's not too much rule sets around that. So I think it should be pretty clear cut.
I'll use the example. Sorry, Ollie. I'll use the example just to bring that to realism. Evan Nilsson got dragged back on the halfway line. Yeah, and it was a red card. I think it was against Liverpool, and it got sent off, their defender. Again, the memory shot to pieces, but it was a clear-cut foul. How can anybody say it wasn't a foul? So to say it's, that there are criteria. We know what the black and white is. There's no grey area in between. If you go lunging into a tackle, 2-footed, to take a player out to stop him attacking, it's clear-cut. If, however, you slip and take the player out, it's accidental. It's clear-cut. It's accidental. So, there's certain players in this world who will shirt tug somebody back to you. Some players have to take a yellow. Don't get me wrong. It's clear cut. But malicious intent and obvious is different than accidental. And I think that's where the grey area, is open to interpretation.
Sure. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think there's a couple of instances, again, that we discussed before the show. Evan Nilsson being pulled back as a last man. Sometimes it's being recognised as pulled back as a last man. Sometimes it's not. I mean, just the Brighton game last week or the week before. Right-hand side, I remember the ball's gone right over and he's been pulled back and the foul's gone up. No card. It was recognised as a foul, but there hasn't been a card given, even though he's very clear to be the last man running to get that ball to have a clear-cut shot on goal. That to me is set criteria.
Yeah.
And same with the handball rule. If we can say, right, that your arm is in an unnatural position or has moved, that is clear cut. Exactly, yeah. It's clear cut and concise rules.
Yeah.
So I struggle to see how you can't get those clear cut, concise rules with every aspect of the game, because it is possible. It is possible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Matt says, got to say, great topic today, guys. Yeah, I'll give that to Daz, to be honest. It was entirely down to him. And yeah, it's been fantastic, actually. It's been one that we don't usually bring up.
Yeah, just fancy something different, guys. You know, we all talk about the players and the performances and the games coming up and everything else. And I just thought, I've never heard this on the show. And, you know, let's open up a can of worms, just see what everyone says about it.
Absolutely, yeah. And perfect for Tuesday or Wednesdays, midweek, when we're kind of away from Terry Slaps, just before Dean Court socials. Yeah, perfect. Malcolm says Daz with his biased referee shirt on.
Yellow card, Malcolm. Pipe down or you'll be off.
That's it, yeah. Quality. Paul says, it is a good feeling, though, if a long VAR decision goes our way. How many of them have we had, Paul?
I think we've had more against us than we have for.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie, it doesn't fill me with positivity when I think of that sentence. Because every single time I think back, long VAR decisions have never been in our favour. So, yes, I see what you're saying. Go on, Daz.
There's good and bad. We've had a couple of wins. I'll take Senesi's little on the halfway line.
Yeah.
That could have been seen as a red card. So,
sure.
Yeah, it's good and bad.
Yeah, we've definitely had decisions go for us. Not necessarily long VAR decisions, but there's things that have been missed, and yeah, for sure we've had the ref not necessarily on our side, but summing it up incorrectly sometimes in our favour, which is I agree, Paul. Sean says, what about the Newcastle penalty shout against Arsenal? I would say it was a penalty. Yeah, Sean, we will discuss that, but maybe tomorrow morning, because we're running out of time on this morning's Cherry AM, mate. Sean says it wasn't clear, though, in regards to the previous one we were talking about. We'll come back to it. Malcolm, a really good call by Michael Oliver on Saturday. Ben Gannon Doak's tackle in his own penalty area, and all the Leeds fans called it for a penalty. It was a brilliant tackle, winning the ball. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. And again, we've discussed Michael Oliver a couple of times, right? I think is he the highest paid Premier League referee? Or highest rated, shall I say?
No, surprisingly not. Michael Oliver comes in third.
Third? Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So there's two referees above him. Anthony Taylor, who refereed our first game with Liverpool.
Yeah, good game.
And again, I thought he controlled that game very well. There were good and bad decisions, but overall, I thought he had a really good game. The referee there, he's got a 94.74% accuracy, which again is phenomenal for a referee. Yeah. But number one referee is Simon Hooper. I was trying to do some checking on which games he's officiated for us in the past. To see if there was any controversial decisions, but I ran out of time just before the show, so that'll be for another time. Nice,
yeah, I love that. I've actually met Simon Hooper, had a drink with him in Southbourne in Dorset once.
Nice.
we all spotted him in the pub and crowded around him, and it was quite a night actually.
And slipped him a 50.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wait till you're back down to Dean Court next time. Sorry. Sean says his arm went up, which is a natural position when falling. But under these days, I thought that would be classed as a penalty. See, again, this has to come down to, I'm not sure what the word is, right? But there's going to be some people who look at a natural position as, yes, protecting yourself. If you slip and your arm goes up or you're being pushed in a certain direction, then yeah, I can understand if your arms are. But I think that's a rarity. You got to think, these guys playing football on wet pitches half of their season, right? 6 months of the year, they're playing football on wet grass. So I've got this feeling that a natural position, if you're falling over, you're not going to be all throwing your arms in the air as a footballer. You're not going to go down like that. I think if you fall, you fall. I think if your arm goes up and just happens to touch the ball, that is very coincidental, isn't it? If you're falling and all of a sudden you've stopped the ball going where it needs to go, I don't know. That to me is just that's not legal in the game. That's not I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Daz?
Like you say, there's natural and there's unnatural.
Yeah.
What I don't like to see is the defenders, especially your two side flankers, your Trevor and Adrian Trevor and Jimenez or Smithy or Smudge or whatever on the wing backs, marking the wing backs. They literally got to stand there like a penguin, holding their hands behind their back because they're so frightened of getting a ball hit them less than a metre away. Even if their hands are by their side in a natural position, if that ball hits them from point blank range, a metre and a half away, penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's different than if you're jumping and your arms are raised above. I would say a natural position is anything below the elbow. I think if you raise your arm above your elbow, that is not natural. You don't stand walking around like this. Everyone walks around with their hands, stand by the side. So the definition of a natural position, and like you say, that can change if you're falling, if you're sliding. Sometimes if you're jumping for a header, you need to lead with your arm. So yeah, again, it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris says, I agree with you, Mal. It was a great call by Michael Oliver. David DaCosta says, a great topic. Well done, chaps. Thank you, David. Thanks, appreciate that. Matt says, Chris and Liam, we are recording Cherry Picking 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Same link as I sent last week. Fantastic. Please do keep your eyes on that. And do click the notification bell so that you get notified every time. Oh, is it down there, is it?
Like button, subscribe.
And thanks, Daz. Yeah, I'm not sure where I point at the moment anymore.
I did subscribe. I think I was 1999. I was hoping to be 2000 just so we could push Matt over the line.
That is the shame. Imagine if you were 2000. You took a pic. That would have been amazing.
That's what I was trying to do.
I think there is a announcement due to be coming soon. I think Matt's just waiting for that for the subscription amount, but we'll get to that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Sean says, great show, up the cherries. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Chris says, okay, thanks, Matt. And Ethan says, I'm a ref at the age of 17. I get from £25 a game, very good money, but a lot of abuse. Yeah, Ethan, I can imagine, mate. The only thing I can say to you here is kudos and well played to you, firstly. Secondly, please stick at it, irrelevant of the abuse, irrelevant of how hard it gets. We need referees in this game that care about the game, especially from grassroots level. Yeah. So it's the likes of you guys, Ethan, that are kind of the next generation of refs for us, mate. So please do stay in it. It's annoying to hear that there's loads of abuse still, though. At 17, that's not the nicest thing. And Matt says, Ethan, big respect to you, mate. Actually, Ethan, everyone seems to be bigging up Ethan now. Look, there we go. And finally, Malcolm says, hurry up and blow the final whistle, Daz. So on that note, it's been fantastic having you. I think this length show tends to only happen with Malcolm, so you're on par there, Daz. I appreciate your time, and up the cherries in all departments. Thanks for joining me.
No worries. Thanks.
I'll see you next
Thanks
time.
for having me. Up the chairs from Daz Cherry Down Under. All the best.
Love it. Thanks, Daz.
Cheers.
TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Up the Cherries in all departments has been nominated for the Best Club Content Creator for the Premier League. To vote, visit the link on screen. We thank you in advance for your support, and up the cherries.
I should be like you, Mel.